time, your gateway to the world. AFR! American Freedom Radio. Give it to them.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Souljourneys Radio.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and happy Thursday. It is June 13, 2013. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. Souljourneys Radio on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. Hope you had a beautiful day. We sure have a wonderful show in store for you here tonight, and I know many of you might be expecting to hear St. Toby One Kenobi tonight, but actually we are blessed with Shaman Avalon Sakti. Tobias isn't dead or anything like that. He just had a last-minute out-of-town issue, so anyways, I'm super excited because Shakti and I just had a fantastic show on Tuesday, and when this came up, I'm like, man, we need to have her back and continue this discussion, and lots of really good information that I believe is probably going to go along with the topic tonight, which is protecting the sacred love. The sacred love that doesn't bind but liberates. We'll be talking about, twin flames and soulmates and all of that fun stuff here. Her website is sacredserpent.net. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to give us a call tonight at 218-339-8525. That's 218-339-8525. And if you'd like to join us on the text chat, that's over at souljourneysradio.com. It is so good to have you here tonight, Shakti, and staying up another night just for us all the way across the pond. Thank you for being here. Welcome to the show. How are you tonight?
A little tired because I had only 2 hours sleep last night. Other than that, I'm great, Christy, and very happy to be here again.
Yay! We are super ecstatic, too. So, we have another fun, beautiful, and big topic, protecting the sacred love. And before we get into that, something came up recently in a group. They were talking about different words, and somebody said, I'd probably rather have someone tell me they love me than anything else, which, led to the discussion about, and this was me responding saying, that's the biggest lie or the most often and common lie I've ever heard. People, the other night we talked about the F word. When people say the F word, you pretty much know they're serious. But when they say, I love you, you don't know. Is it, I love you, or is it, I love you, or I love you because I want something? And, which led me to, just kind of think about how it has kind of been perverted and demented in this society, which of course all boils back down to the self. We don't know what love is. We have a hard time loving ourselves, much less loving one another. So why don't we start off talking about what love is and isn't?
I think surely it isn't selfish. And that's where it starts. A lot of what people call love is a kind of business or commodity. Like people getting married, like maybe, he's got money and she's got beauty, they get together.
Yes. Yeah.
And that isn't necessarily love, because when you really love somebody, the outer things are not important. It doesn't matter how much money they have or whether they are beautiful in a fashion magazine sense.
Yeah.
Because you appreciate everything that they are, the essence of their being. And you rejoice in their presence, and you don't judge them, and you don't find little faults because their figure isn't totally perfect, or they got 3 wrinkles, or their hair is maybe thinning a little. All these things don't matter at all if you really love somebody. I think love was very different in the old times, let's say 3-4 generations back still. Nowadays, it's become very shallow. Everybody thinks they have to find somebody like from a fashion magazine, and it's all about the body.
Definitely. You brought that up, and I actually know somebody here right now who's going through a situation. They got together, they supposedly loved each other, or at least pretended to, and it was one of those microwave relationships, right? I don't know. Maybe they met in a bar and thought they were hot or something with their beer goggles on. Anyways, a little bit later, they get pregnant, and there really, it was obvious to the outside there wasn't a lot of love. And then when she goes home to, meet his parents and everything, instead of talking about how special he is, how kind he is, how compassionate he is, the only things coming out of her mouth was, wow, well, he has a really nice, because his dad asked her, why are you in this type thing? And, well, he has a nice house, and he has a nice car, and he has a nice boat, and it's like, oh, my God. I mean, at least she had the balls to say that out loud, so they could split up sooner rather than later, but holy smokes. I mean, we really are a culture where, well, the man has to have money and a job and a car, and the woman has to be a supermodel or Playboy centerfold. That's not love.
Yeah, the mind has become conditioned, and people haven't experienced it, what love really means, because love in essence wants to give. You want to give to the other and make him or her happy. And but for most people it's more like, what do I get out of it, and what can you do for me?
Yeah.
That's the approach. It should be a giving and a taking, of course.
Absolutely. And it's, a lot of us, I'll just speak for myself. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know what love is entirely. I'd like to think I do, and I'm certainly working on it. But, for the first 3.5 decades of my life, I thought it, had to do with ownership, possession, jealousy, which even sometimes led to abuse, and I convinced myself, well, obviously that's love, or he wouldn't be that mad, right? So, yeah, it's kind of funny the things that we end up believing about love.
Yeah, I think our minds are very much conditioned and programmed by things that we see on TV, magazines, society, and so on. And even our language doesn't really distinguish. Like, we have different types of love, like the love of a mother for a child, or, there's divine love. In Sanskrit, for example, you got 2 different words for love. One is kama, which is like, they sometimes call it infatuated love. So that can be love that includes, sexuality and relationships. And then there's another word called prema, and that is basically divine love, like love that you feel for God or for the creation, and that is free from selfishness. Basically, true love is free from selfishness, but selfishness is very widespread now. Yeah. And then people always talking a lot about unconditional love, and I find that sometimes the ones who are talking about it are the ones that have an agenda, because they just want you to go along with everything they say.
Oh, infinite love, baby.
Yeah. Unconditional love is something very nice to aspire to, but in most cases it's not possible, because if somebody beat you black and blue, would you still love them unconditionally? I doubt it, really. And the thing to really aspire to is universal love, where you love basically the whole creation and everything in it, the animals, the plants, Mother Earth, the human beings of all colors, whatever. Even maybe extraterrestrials,
Yeah.
So, but that is a lofty goal. So it starts with loving yourself, as you already mentioned, and then you can love another. Maybe you can love your child or your partner, and then you're expanding to love the whole of humanity, and you love the whole creation. So you're constantly expanding. Love is an expansive emotion. It expands your heart and expands your view, so that you have a broader view, and it makes you a better being and raises you to a higher vibration. And on higher spiritual states, you do experience love. You get extremely powerful feelings of love when you are in an ecstatic state, as maybe through meditation or during Kundalini awakening. You feel these things.
Okay. Now, is it possible to love partially? For example, you mentioned animals, plants, everything around. Can you pretend to or say that you love humans but hate aliens and hate animals?
I think some people seem to manage that quite well.
I've seen it quite a bit.
But generally you can say that love and hate don't exist together. It's one or the other.
Ah, okay. That makes sense.
So, sometimes these people don't love truly, because if they did, they couldn't have hatred. Generally, just look at children. When children encounter something new, maybe another child in a different skin color, or they see a little animal, children are always enthusiastic and happy to meet other beings. It's only the adults that have all these judgments, that they think it's evil and it's bad and it's horrible and inferior and they are superior. That's what the things that adults have in their mind. Children are free from this.
Yeah, absolutely. Where do we learn I could call it hate, and I don't even know if that's the opposite of love, but let's say it is. How do we learn to lose that love that is born within us innately?
Hard to say, Christie, but in my opinion, it starts with the parents making statements about others and the children hearing it. And also, it's not only the parents, because in some cases the parents are just brilliant, but then don't forget that children are being put in front of the TV almost from day one when they are born.
Yeah.
And so there's so much negativity on there, people beating each other, violence, and it all goes in the subconscious mind of the little baby that's wide open.
Yeah.
I don't even have a TV anymore. I haven't had one for about 10 years.
Oh, wow. Going without a TV for, I guess it's been 7 years for me now, it was like the best thing I ever could have done. Definitely.
Exactly. I think that's the best thing for about everybody.
So that's pretty much where we learn our idea of relationships, right? Whether it's, Leave It to Beaver, or Married with Children, or Desperate Housewives, or I don't know, what are those shows on there? The Wives of Beverly Hills or Jersey Shores, or I don't know. I don't even know where that is anymore. But when I used to watch TV for the first 30 years, I mean, that's where I got my information on what love was supposed to be.
Fortunately, I didn't get my idea from there, but, sometimes we also get bad examples from our parents.
That's true, too.
So today, actually, I wanted to talk about, spiritual relationships, because we have more and more people that are very interested in developing themselves spiritually. Yes. And of course, most of them don't want to be alone. They'd like to have a relationship. But you would think that people that are, more spiritual or spiritually developing themselves, having a better time with relationships because they are more mature. But I found out that often it's the other way around, that they're actually having an even harder time than the people that are more on a material level. And then you have to ask yourself, why is that?
Yeah. Why is that?
I think there isn't just one single reason. There are several reasons for that. First of all, when you begin to develop yourself spiritually, you face a lot of challenges, because you're being confronted with your ego and your dark side, your shadow. That's already, quite a ride. Even if you're alone, sometimes it's very difficult to deal with the things that come up in the course of your spiritual development. And then if you're going through a big crisis and you're having a relationship, if the partner is misunderstanding what's going on with you and thinks it has something to do with them, then this can blow up really badly. And the problem is, we all have got some wounds from previous relationships, our childhood or whatever. Nobody is completely perfect and without any wounds. And so when something is different in the relationship, because somebody's made a change and is just going through a healing crisis, let's say, often the other partner thinks it has something to do with them, that they want to lose them, or that they are unfaithful maybe, or have somebody else, and then they become very insecure or angry, and then that creates a lot of problems.
Either that, or you've completely gone insane and it's time to hog-tie you and lock you up in a mental institution.
Yeah, that's also a possibility.
Now, that's not very loving. So I see that a lot, though, where, you know, one partner in the relationship starts to, you know, just kind of awaken or start their spiritual journey, and, you know, the other one's like, well, that's okay, do whatever you want to do, but I am so not interested. And then other times it's like, well, I'm more than just not interested. I think that's a little weird, and I've got to step away from you right now. So how can we... Oh, I've got a big echo all of a sudden. All right.
Sorry, Christie.
Okay.
Can you still hear me?
I can. All right. And there. Okay, good. Yep. Can you hear us?
Yes. Is it working?
Yeah. Yep. It sounds good now.
We had a little diversion here. Don't ask me.
Okay, all right. So I was just mentioning when one partner in a relationship starts their spiritual journey and the other one's like, okay, well, that's cool, but I'm not interested. Or the other that's like, that's crazy, get the heck away from me, it's time to go. And, oh, imagine that, it really is time to go. But we will be right back in 4 short minutes. Stay tuned. Shaman Avalon Sakti here on SoulJourneysRadio.com.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
No rules. No rules. No taboo topics. No taboo topics. No fear of doom. No fear of doom. We are American Freedom Radio. American Freedom Radio.
Thanks for joining us here tonight. Soul Journeys Radio on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. Our special guest tonight, Shaman Avalon Sakti. She is an extremely experienced and trained shaman, teaches various courses on women's empowerment, shamanism, and magic, as well as helping others with soul retrievals and past life work, etc. So check out her website. Seriously, just a billion, close to a billion, okay, maybe not that much, but a ton of really helpful information, you know, about shamanism, journeying, tree spirits, power plants, power animals, etc. So lots of excellent information, healing crisis, etc. That is sacredserpent.net, sacredserpent.net, and the topic tonight is protecting the sacred love. And we left off when one partner starts a spiritual path and the other is not interested. So, yeah, that's a big one. That's been going around a lot, quite a bit lately. Uh-oh, did we lose her? Am I not here? Am I here?
I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Okay. It's that chair again. By the way, yeah, everyone wants to know, was that my butt or your butt with those noises in the last segment? And I'm really sorry to disappoint you all. It was just an old squeaky door.
Yes, the door hinges need oiling.
I'd love to take credit for that, but I'm just not that cool yet. Brussels sprouts, broccoli, never mind. Okay, so yeah, when one starts the spiritual path and the other one is just like, that's a little crazy, I got to get out of here.
Yeah, that is a very big problem. I mean, I had this situation before and I thought that it doesn't matter. You can do your spirituality and the other partner doesn't have to do it. But it doesn't work that way, because when your vibration changes, they won't like you anymore because you're just not on the same wavelength anymore. And then often it will happen that the partner who's not interested in spirituality at this point is going to look for somebody else and starts an affair. That's very, very common. Sometimes it can also happen that the one who is interested in developing themselves spiritually will lose interest. But in any case, it will eventually break up. So if somebody starts spiritually developing themselves, if the partner doesn't come along on that journey, in most cases, not all cases, but in most cases, it will break up eventually.
Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense. However, maybe there's always an exception to the rule. I know of one particular couple where one is extremely spiritual, very devoted path, and the other is not. They've been together 17 years, and it looks totally crazy from the outside, but it works for them. Is that just kind of one of those things that, isn't very common, but is sometimes possible?
Yeah, it can be possible if both of them are very tolerant.
Yeah, oh yeah, tolerance is key. But that's also part of love, isn't it?
Should be, yes, but it isn't always a given.
For sure. Okay. So you're saying normally in relationships like that, though, there, we've definitely seen them, where they do eventually part ways. Uh-oh. Are you there?
I hear you. I'm just muting.
Okay. All right. Nope. You're good to go. Go ahead.
Right. So there can be exceptions, of course. It doesn't always have to break up. But this is just something that I have noticed also from talking to other people who were on the spiritual path. You hear this kind of story very frequently. But fortunately, it isn't always that one is very interested in spirituality and the other one isn't at all. There are also many couples where both of them are following the spiritual path and they still have challenges. I remember in one case I talked to a man and he said that he and his wife had a tantric relationship, but then the wife suddenly had somebody else. And I wondered, how tantric was that if you're just committing adultery and you betraying your partner. And then, of course, the whole thing broke up and there were the children and it was a disaster. And you hear that a lot as well because the word tantra is often misused and for just doing something kinky, really. And people just exchanging their partners sometimes like their cars, if it's not so nice anymore, look for something new.
Yes.
Anyway, so in a spiritual relationship, you do have various challenges. One is that you need to deal with your own issues. You need to always examine yourself, and you need to continue to spiritually grow. Because if you don't do that, then eventually the little weaknesses can cause big problems, especially if you're in denial about things. Or if you're then blaming your partner, say if there's a problem in the relationship, it's very easy to say, oh yeah, my partner has got a lot of issues, she has problems from her childhood, or he has got this and that problem, instead of looking at yourself, what are your own issues. And it only works if both partners are simultaneously working on their issues, and if they do not condemn each other for them, or are judgmental, or getting an air of superiority.
Yeah. It takes a lot of work. I mean, even if you're not, even if nobody's on a spiritual path, relationships are a lot of work as it is. But definitely when you're going two different directions or have two totally separate interests, it can certainly cause a strain in the faint of heart, so to speak. So, what are some of the, well, never mind. Let's just move on. So what are some of the other obstacles that we may encounter in these types of relationships?
And basically, you're building up a lot of power. When two people are on the spiritual path, they grow much quicker together. But because the growth is quicker, the challenges keep coming very fast as well. So it's quite an emotional roller coaster. It can be very, very intense. And if people cannot withstand this intensity anymore, at some point they're just freaking out, or they're losing it, or maybe then they will fall back into a lower vibration, such as going into drugs or alcohol, or negative sexual relationships, adultery, prostitution, and whatever. So the intensity in itself is a challenge, and then dealing with this in a way that you do not blow your emotions over the top. And then also, because as you develop spiritually, your spiritual light begins to shine brighter and brighter, so it's like a beacon on the astral, and the negative forces will notice that you're coming closer to self-realization, closer to being enlightened. And then, of course, there's always the pushback. They don't want you to go there. So then they will destroy wherever you're most vulnerable, whatever gives you the most pain. And in many cases, it's that wonderful relationship that you have. Yes. And the negative forces operate through certain vibrations. Very commonly, chaos is one of them. Division, we know that already. and they love to destroy relationships. And so here you are in your ecstatic relationship.
Okay, I think we're having that little... Oops. I'm sorry. Sorry to interrupt this broadcast with a Master Alien Pong match taking over. Shakti, are you there?
I'm there. Can you hear me, Christy?
Yeah, just you had some, whatever, with the lights were interfered with. So, yep, we hear you loud and clear now.
Now I don't know where I was last.
The division and how people or entities will try to, separate people.
That's right. And one of their favorite methods is to bring in another sexual partner, and then the relationship falls apart because of lack of faithfulness.
Okay, so in a relationship like that, say one is on the journey, one is not, who usually is the one to just get frustrated and walk away?
Well, it differs. It can be that the spiritual person finds that this relationship is empty, but it can also be that the non-spiritual person says that she's wacko now, and let me just look for somebody else who can stroke my ego better.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's hard to say. It could be either. But in a relationship where both partners are spiritual, that's actually where the greater challenges happen. Because it's really important in this case that you stick together and you, no matter what, don't let any negative outside forces come in. And this is where people, sometimes they are not having enough trust in their partner, they're not committed enough, or they're not strong enough in themselves. So when something comes from the outside, they succumb to it too easily. And this is really sad, because when people are building up spiritually, they're building power up between themselves, and then if one of them betrays the other, becomes unfaithful, not only does it break up the relationship, but the spiritual power that they gained between them completely crumbles. Yeah. And they're losing all that as well. And if you made the spirituality basically the foundation of your life, and then when you're losing all the power that you built up over several years, and the spiritual connection. Because just think for a moment, when you're in an agitated state of mind, meditation doesn't work too well. So if you're used to spiritually connecting and experiencing spiritual bliss when you're meditating, and then your marriage is over, and all you can feel is pain, that it's worse for somebody like this than for maybe the ordinary man or woman. It's always bad when a relationship breaks up, but then you're having the pain of also not feeling the spiritual connection anymore, and it can leave people completely shattered. It may take years to build it up again, and that's just because the relationship wasn't strong enough to start with. So you have to understand that when you're going into a spiritual relationship and you and your partner are intending to both spiritually grow and maybe aim at enlightenment, that you will face greater challenges than if you weren't going to go in a spiritual relationship, and that you have to be 100% committed to each other and never let each other down, no matter what is being thrown at you from the outside.
Of course. Of course. Okay, so now let me just kind of play devil's advocate here. If you are in a loving relationship and you're on a spiritual path, part of that is learning to love everyone, as pretty much everyone around us are just simply reflections of ourselves, and they may trigger us and show us things we need to work on. So on a spiritual path, with the intent of mastering or understanding or living in love full time, it shouldn't really matter if the other partner takes an interest in spirituality or not, should it?
Well, that depends. I think it depends where you want to go, because it goes by vibration. Everything is a vibration and it's resonance. Okay, so if you're going on a certain frequency and the other partner is on a completely opposite frequency, it tends to pull your frequency down also.
Yeah.
Because the frequencies adjust, so one goes very high and the other one stays very low. The one who wants to go higher can only go so far, because just by being in a room with somebody, you're already changing frequency. So if you're living in a house with somebody, even if it's not your partner, that also has an effect. Let's say you have a roommate who's very negative, but you want to be spiritually enlightening. You will find the energies more and more jarring and negative until you feel like you need to move out so that you can be in your own energy and not exposed to such negative and jarring energies anymore. And even more so in a relationship where you're even sleeping in the same bed together. And your energies basically constantly intermingle and are mixed up. So I would say that it does matter very much. Not because of a judgmental point of view, but just for a practical point of view, that you're limited in how high you can go spiritually when you're with somebody who's on a very low vibration.
Okay. So I want to, some of the things we wanted to talk about tonight are like twin flames or soulmates and all of this stuff. How do we know the difference, or do they even exist at all? Is it just one of those fantasies that Hollywood programmed us with?
I was thinking of this for a long time, but whether this was a fantasy or not, but I've come to the conclusion that there is really another half of each one of us. But it's very rare to have the good luck to actually meet your twin flame. And it's said that once the twin flames meet, they don't stay on the earth plane very long. They go off into the cosmos.
Okay. Well, I hear the music, so it is that time. We have to take a short break. Hang on, everyone. Shaman Avalon Sakti here on Souljourneys Radio.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Souljourneys Radio.
Yo, what's up? Check this out. The voice of the revolution. American Freedom Radio. American Freedom Radio.
Thanks for joining us here tonight. Souljourneys Radio on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. Protecting the Sacred Love with Shaman Avalon Sakti. Her website is sacredserpent.net. And we left off just getting into soulmates, twin flames, etc. And there was a really good question here. There it is. In the chat, Shakti, someone asks, well, how do you know or conclude that soul twins are real?
Good question. I recently met my twin flame, so...
That was a cute giggle.
Yes, I didn't actually want to say it. I wanted to keep it all private.
Oh, you did it here. All right, well... Okay, well, we could just delete that part of the archive. A little schoolgirl in love. Yay! What a fun feeling. Okay, so is it safe to say that previously you did not believe that they were real?
I did originally not. I thought it was a new age thing. And then I was doing some... I came across some reading, but I don't want to say what that was. That was very interesting, and that made me believe that there was such a thing as a twin flame. And I didn't, have the experience until recently.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you thought it was just like New Age mumbo jumbo, some
exactly.
buzzword, maybe
That's
even
what I
to
thought.
make people feel like, without that sense of lack, well, they have one, why don't I have one, what's wrong with me type thing, to then finally meeting yours and being convinced that this is absolutely true. So, okay, so then let's kind of get into... How do you really know? Because, hi, my name is Christie. I've been fooled before. And, I've had those experiences where your eyes lock, from across the room, and you just know that you have to be together. And, maybe you spend every moment together for... 20 minutes. No, I'm just kidding. Whether it's a couple weeks or a couple months or something, and then turns to disaster, you start believing in love again. You believe, oh my gosh, there really are soulmates. There's twin flames. This is it. I've never felt so good before. And then you get hit by a Mack truck. So
it's of course possible, because we always believe what we want to believe, and when something starts good, we want to believe that it's the real thing. I understand that. I've fell in that trap before, but I never thought it was my twin flame before. What I feel is that at that point there is a recognition. You recognize the other, and that can happen even before you actually physically meet. And there is a knowing, an inner knowing that is very similar to what I experienced when I had self-realization. Then at that point you get direct knowledge input. And even you yourself, your small self may think, oh my God, that is scary, making such a commitment, or what if it goes wrong again? But there's another part of you that is beyond that, and that understands that what is happening is something so large and so magical that the rational mind can hardly follow. Actually, the rational mind cannot follow at all, and the energy of it is just sweeping you away. And it's not a kind of teenage-like being in love, but it is on a very deep soul level.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so again, how do we know the difference? Because
you can't.
To me. Okay.
You can't. until it's happening, because otherwise it would be like you asking me, how do I know the difference between a strawberry and a raspberry? You won't know it until you've eaten both a strawberry and a raspberry. Until then, you won't know the difference.
Okay. So then how can we account for, and you know what, maybe these so-called failed relationships, and I honestly don't believe any relationship is a failed relationship unless you refuse to learn something from it. I think they're all there for a reason, and yes, most relationships end, but again, I don't really consider that a failure. So how can you account for those types of deep feelings? Are we taken over by lust? Can there be some kind of like love spell or magic potion or something that can take us over like that? Or, you know, what are some of the possibilities that, you know, could make us feel that way? Or, on the other hand, maybe these so-called failed relationships or whatever, where you feel, oh, he's my twin flame or soulmate or whatever, or she, and she's not here anymore. You know, some people convince themselves that they really are twin flames, but they're just not ready to be together right now. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a possibility, because, you know, if you meet your twin flame, it doesn't mean that everything is going to be easy.
Yeah. Okay.
You might have previous wounds, and there could be other circumstances. You know, in some cases it could be very serious. For example, if you meet your twin flame and the other one is married and committed in another relationship, that will be a very serious thing, and it would usually leave them both completely shattered. They might honor their commitments to other partners, but they will not find real happiness. Then once you've met the other, nothing else will do. Yes, you know, being in love is a different thing. That is like a more immature emotion, and it often starts at the beginning of a relationship. You're madly in love, and it's a nice feeling, but it doesn't usually last very long. It wears off. It wears off as the energies, and you know the other's energy. It's like you having a positive and a negative charge, and they come together, then it gets neutralized, and then at some point there isn't much left of the original electricity, and then it depends on whether you have got something more than just the being in love, whether you have a deep commitment, a deep respect for each other, and, you know, similarity of character and all the other things that make a good relationship. But if you don't have that, then, you know, after the being madly in love, you see that the other one is not the way that you thought, because usually we have some illusions and we just want things to be the way that we want them to be, and we don't really look clearly, you know. And then the whole thing wears off and it's over. So being in love is one thing, loving somebody is another thing, and meeting your soulmate again is another level.
Okay, so, I mean, all right, now in a twin flame or soulmate relationship, is it very electric, as you say, electric, passionate, etc.? And if so, is it that way throughout the course of the relationship, or is that just the initial meeting phase where, you know, your brain's secreting, you know, extra serotonin, endorphins, oxytocin, whatever it is, all those feel-good chemicals that keep you on that kind of high? Uh-oh. Did we lose her again? Darn. Oh, man. Okay. Yeah, we're having technical issues. Welcome to the Bermuda Triangle of Radio. I'm sure she will be back very soon, as always. We definitely find a way, but yeah, I think this is a really important topic because there's a lot of information out there. Your soulmate, your twin flame, all of this stuff, which I do. You know, sometimes I can see how it can be used to make people feel less than, or kind of, make people feel like they're lacking because they don't have one? Is it just another one of those romantic fantasies? I'm sure everybody listening here has had one of those beautiful, electric, passionate experiences that, this is going to last forever, but how long is forever? It looks like we have Shakti back, so...
Yes,
woo-hoo.
I'm back.
Okay, I'm not sure when you dropped out. Did you hear the last question?
The last question was whether it would be like an electric feeling, and I said yes, that's what it will be, but it will be on a different level than when you just fallen in love.
Is it throughout the duration, the entire duration of the relationship, or does it, kind of just phase out as you settle into more of the permanency aspect of the relationship?
I'll let you know in a year or two.
Okay. That's right, because we're going on first-hand experience, not what we read in a book.
That's right.
Of course, nothing wrong with reading books, but as you stepped away, I was just mentioning some of the questions that I have, and, maybe it is, I thought like you, maybe this is some New Age garbage and, trying to make people feel like they don't have, they're not good enough. They haven't evolved or ascended enough to meet their twin flame and all of these weird little buzzwords we have out there. But we'll talk about this after we come back here, top of the second hour. Stay tuned, everyone. Shaman Avalon Sakti here on SoulJourneysRadio.com.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
No rules. No rules. No taboo topics. No taboo topics. No fear of doom. No fear of doom. We are American Freedom Radio. American Freedom Radio.
Welcome back. Top of the second hour here tonight. Soul Journeys Radio on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. And if you would like to join us for the text chat, that's over at SoulJourneysRadio.com. Any questions or comments, please feel free to give us a call at 218-339-8525. That's 218-339-8525. We are talking about protecting the sacred love, soulmates, twin flames, and all of that fun stuff. Is it just this New Age fallacy, or is there something to it? And we left off, just kind of discussing these things. What is the difference in your understanding between a soulmate and a twin flame, if any?
I think the twin flame is a level higher, in my opinion, because that's the one and only one who completes you.
Complete you, but doesn't that kind of connote that we're not whole already?
I think this is the paradox, that both of them have to be complete in themselves, but then they still complete each other.
Okay. Because some people believe...
A bit like the yin and yang.
Okay. So some people believe that we have many soulmates, soul groups like Shakti. You could be my soulmate. My neighbor could be my soulmate. Every one of you on the chat can be my soulmate. But the twin flame is entirely different, actually, like a part of ourselves that was allegedly, from what I've read, split at birth, or maybe not at birth, before birth, where you made kind of like a hide-and-go-seek thing, and some of them may not even meet for several lifetimes. What are your thoughts on that?
I pretty much agree with that, Christy.
Okay.
I do think that the twin flame is that we somehow got split from a part of us. And that is a journey where both the male becomes complete and the female, and then when they are meeting again, they are creating something completely beyond together.
Okay, and so basically the rule of this hide and seek, we're calling it, is that you must be complete in yourself before you're allowed to reunite?
I do not know whether you have to be absolutely finished with your spiritual journey, but I do think you will have to go very far, and you will have to have done a lot of spiritual work before you're even ready for that.
Well, what about people that haven't done any spiritual work, that are completely assured that they have their soulmate or their twin flame?
Well, how do you know that they haven't done any spiritual work? Maybe they've done the spiritual work in past lives and they're getting the fruit of it now.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's a possibility. Okay. That makes sense. I kind of like that possibility, actually. We'll do all the work this lifetime and then come back the next time and be a teenager in love, and yeah, definitely, and just chill out the whole, 70, 80, 90 years. That sounds good to me. Okay. So, now, we mentioned a split. Where do you believe this split originated from?
I think that this was a very long time ago, many, many incarnations ago. I think it might actually have been when we first came into the earth plane, because I don't think this is our original plane of existence.
Okay.
I haven't seen this in detail yet. If I ever see it in meditation, I'll speak about it in more detail. But that's just, I get information through knowing, and sometimes I get things through visions or I'm being told things. But this is just like one of these things that start.
Okay, who's getting disconnected now? Okay, here we are, back to our lovely technical issues. Skype, could you pretty please work for us tonight? I mean, maybe we can love you into submission, or, say infinite love 10 times fast. No, never mind. That doesn't work. Let's see. Okay, we will get her back. But I don't know if you have any ideas. Like, what is your opinion? What is your belief on soulmates, twin flames, real love, maybe even different types of love that, you've experienced, you'd like to share with us? You can give us a call at 218-339-8525. That's 218-339-8525. And I hear her.
Yes, I'm back.
Yeah, infinite love on the computer isn't working.
Must be the dark forces.
Yeah, maybe you're just so electric.
That's been happening a lot, Christy. I've been hyper-electric, yeah. I have to be a bit careful what I stand next to.
Okay. You walk by and street lamps start blowing and Skype explodes.
Not the street lamps, but all kind of things go haywire, yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, yeah, so, shoot, I actually just forgot where we were when we had this last little outage.
That was probably the purpose of the outage.
Maybe, yeah. I probably wanted to ask you something you didn't want to answer. Okay.
Well, if it's personal, then maybe I won't answer.
No, I'm teasing. But, okay, so I know, several people in my life currently and, previously, just kind of recollecting different conversations. People believe that, for example, somebody may think, and maybe really be in love with someone else. This someone else doesn't give them the time of day at all, yet the other person is convinced that they're soulmates or they're twin flames. Where do situations like that come from? Is it possible to really, love someone that doesn't love you back, or is that a reflection, or could it be a reflection of you not loving yourself, so you choose people that are entirely unavailable?
First of all, if it's your twin flame, you will both recognize each other. So if you're not both recognizing each other, this isn't a twin flame. Mm-hmm. Of course, people want to believe a lot of things, and they get obsessed with other people sometimes, We hear about all the stalkers and so on. People get obsessed with somebody and think, that's going to be my wife, or that's going to be my man, and they don't actually open their eyes to reality that the other person may not be interested in them at all. So they in the fantasy world where this is their soulmate or twin flame because they read too much New Age things. That's a possibility. And yes, it's always possible to love somebody even if the other person doesn't love you back, but it's not making for a happy end usually. Yeah.
So why would we do that? Just basically stop our life or put it on hold to love someone who, for example, we've never even met in person.
Oh, that's so complex, I think we've been programmed. Sometimes it may be a protection mechanism. You fall in love with somebody you can never have because then you don't have to deal with the realities of a relationship, right?
Yeah.
Or you can be special away forever. It's just so many possibilities because people play games with themselves.
We don't do that. Come on. Oh, yes, we do. Okay. Now, some people, especially in certain self-proclaimed spiritual circles, they believe that their love, their sacred love, isn't really maybe what yours or my idea about sacred love is. So I guess before I ask you any of these other questions, let's talk about specifically what sacred love means.
Yeah, that is the love between two people that takes them higher spiritually and takes them all the way. That's how I would define it.
Okay. Some people believe that if you have reached that so-called enlightenment, that you shouldn't be tied to one person and you should be free to love whoever you want, whenever you want, 10, 20 at a time, 3 a day, different one every day, etc. So what... I've seen this.
I know. I've heard of it too. I think this is because if you're really that enlightened, you won't be slave to your senses and you won't be, lusting after other people because you're beyond lust at that point.
That's what it is, slave to the senses. That makes sense because, a lot of these people will say, well, I love her or I love him, but I'm a sex addict. I suffer from an addiction, which is a disease, and because of that, I have to go get sex from, 20, 30, 40 other however many other people besides the person that they claim to love.
I have never heard such nonsense before, Christie.
Wow. Well, come over and visit me. I can introduce you to a few.
Well, if somebody was telling me this kind of thing, I would be secretly thinking, you're full of crap. Yeah. I may not say anything, but that's what I would be thinking. Okay.
Oh, goodness.
This is when it comes this topic is just so out of control on this planet. I've met women who went to healers who told them, to complete your healing, you have to have sex with me. And they actually did it. I just couldn't believe that somebody would be that stupid, but apparently people are that stupid.
Yeah.
So, you know, that guru that needs to have sex with all his female disciples isn't a guru at all. He's just a user.
Yeah.
And the sooner you realize that, the better. And if you have something sacred between two people, you are fulfilled in the presence of each other. So why would you have to look for something else? If you need to look for something else, then there's something isn't right.
Yeah, and that's something that isn't right, or that's something that's missing, might not necessarily be in your partner. There might be something missing in you. And so that's, you know, why relationships are so great, because they can reflect that to us. Unfortunately, we are kind of in a society of blame. It's, you know, there's not too high of a percentage of people that actually look at it that way. It's like, oh, he's a jerk. She's a whore. He's a, you know, user. She's, you know, whatever. It's all blame, and we're always blaming the other person, when really we shouldn't be blaming anyone at all. We can be using these experiences as learning tools.
Yeah, absolutely. You always have to look at yourself first. When you look for the fault, look at yourself first, and then if you don't find any fault there, then you may look outside.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, all right. In your understanding, twin flames are somewhat, or, you know, basically two people who have evolved on their journey that have come together to kind of complete or bring or make, I don't know, because we're already speaking about whole people to begin with, but it doesn't include orgies or, you know, all of these other things that we hear about, particularly, you know, and I'm not picking on anyone, but the alternative radio community is, you know, the truther movement or whatever has kind of turned into this big, huge, disgusting sex cult. I'm just saying. Sorry, you know, whatever shows you're listening to or whatever you're reading has severely misguided many of us, in my opinion. They seem to be, you know, like recruitment training grounds type things. So getting back to what it really is the two people, and some of the things you mentioned that you wanted to talk about here tonight are, you know, the warrior protector, the priestess valkyrie. Are we always in those exact same roles? For example, when you say warrior protector, I automatically think male. That doesn't, you know, maybe I'm programmed to think that that's what it always is, or maybe I'm not. I don't know. Does the, you know, there's definitely, what, Xena, the warrior princess or something. There's definitely beautiful female Amazonian warriors, too. And not all women are definitely priestess or valkyries. So do we always fall into those traditional gender roles within these sacred relationships? Or could it be, you know, Shakti, maybe you're the warrior in this relationship, or not. And we don't need to talk about your specific relationship. I'm just saying, in general, does it always follow these rules, or is it open to interpretation? For example, you know, Mr. Mom, who stays home with the kids, as opposed to, you know, what we typically would think, you know, the guy would be the breadwinner and the woman would be taking care of the home.
I think it's important to make a distinction here between the, what you're talking about, gender roles as we're living in the material world.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, not again. Okay. Oh, no, not again. Oh, Skype gremlins, please be gone. I promise I won't say infinite love one more time. Oh, wait, I just said it. Oh, man, I knew it was a curse. We were just talking about that during the break. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. So we were talking about gender roles within these sacred relationships, and do they always, end up fulfilling? Yeah, I know. It's just a Skype thing.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Souljourneys Radio.
Welcome to the world's meeting place. American.
It's practically narcotics.
Freedom.
Oh, yes. I like very much.
Radio.
You're an American institution.
American Freedom Radio.
All right, welcome back, and thanks for joining us here tonight with Shaman Avalon Sakti. Her website is sacredserpent.net. Protecting the sacred love is the topic tonight, and before we went to break, I posed the question in regards to gender roles within the sacred relationships. Are they always, the man is the protector and the breadwinner, and the woman is barefoot and pregnant? Does it always even have to be a male and a female? Can it be female-female, male-male, dog, female, whatever? Are there specific gender roles when it comes to this type of love and consciousness?
Well, I wouldn't call it gender roles, because a role is something that you play, not something that you are. So, first of all, it is always a male and a female, because that's just how this reality is built up on. It's built up on polarity. So for the twin flame, it cannot be two males or two females or you and your dog, and that it doesn't work that way. But so that it will be a male and a female. Now, what kind of role they're playing in the outer world, that doesn't matter. So in the outer world, it is very possible that maybe the woman is the bread earner and the man is taking care of the children. That doesn't matter at all. But on the spiritual sense, the male's role for the divine male is to protect the feminine. Not because women are weak and they can't protect themselves, but that is the actual role of the warrior protector. And doesn't mean a woman cannot be a spiritual warrior. But it means that the male is the protector. The female has got the greater spiritual power, and she has the greater intuition. I think we all know that women have better intuition and psychic gifts than men. They can go much further spiritually. And it's the woman who basically finds the way back to the stars, but she can't do it if she hasn't got the grounding anchor and the support of the male energy. It's like Shiva and Shakti in Hinduism. You see, Shiva is pure consciousness and Shakti is the energy, the power. Shiva is nothing without Shakti, but Shakti without Shiva also doesn't work. So it's only when these two principles come together, they complete each other, and then something divine happens. Without the male energy, the female energy alone is not able to act, and vice versa.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes sense. Now, but then I have to take it a step further. What about people that are born into bodies that they believe they don't belong in? For example, I have a couple transgender friends. They were born males, but they thought that their whole life, ever since they can remember, they felt that God put gave them the wrong suit, so to speak, and really didn't come into themselves and their awakening and such until they made those physical changes, or surgical sometimes, and some maybe just the way they dress. But is that possible? Could God mess up? God, in quotes, whatever you want to call it, mess up and put us in the wrong body? And
that's a very controversial topic. I don't really think that God messes up, because then you would think that divine consciousness is flawed, and I see God as a consciousness rather than as a man with 2 arms and 2 legs and a long beard. But I think there can be reasons why something went wrong during the conception. It's a possibility, because when 2 people are having sex and a child is being made, a vortex actually opens and pulls a soul in, and what is being pulled in depends on the consciousness of the mother and the father at that moment of conception. And nowadays we have a lot of other factors, because people are on various medications, on hormones. So maybe this can, in some circumstances, draw a soul into a body that wasn't meant for it. And there's, of course, nefarious things going on the planet as well, with black magic and so on. There is a total confusion of everything on the planet at the moment. Confusion of family, confusion of between the sexes. People really don't know anymore who they are, where they belong, spiritually or in their cultural background. Everything is very much confused right now. So I can't answer the question for these people who had this experience that they feel they're not wearing the right body. This may very well be true. Why exactly this happens, I can't say for sure. I just have some ideas on it. And what their twin flame would be then is another question.
Okay, yeah. So I guess I shouldn't ask you that other question.
Well, I think these people will have to find it out for themselves in their meditations, to who they are, where they're going. I do think that the universe arranges everything perfectly, and that we are given opportunities to grow.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fair enough. So you mentioned, I think it was during the break, that, we're kind of in a society where, I love that men are the great protectors and this and that, but we're taught it's because we're weak, we're helpless, we don't know anything, and of course, we've been told, in the Bible and perhaps other religions that, the male is the head of the household, not only in, physical and financial type means, but also spiritually, that we are not to, he's the one that knows, and then they'll always say, well, Eve, she's easily tempted, and, women are easily tempted. I mean, look, she ate the apple, and that's why she needs to follow us or do what we say spiritually. But, as you mentioned during the break, that it's actually the woman, the female, that has the greater spiritual power and magic.
That's right. The woman has the greater spiritual power, but she has got less physical strength and less worldly power. So things are just perfectly arranged. Once upon a time they were in balance, and then people messed it up. People with an agenda, maybe. The mainstream religions have taken the spiritual power from women away and basically turned the women only into birth-giving machines for creating more males. That, of course, is not right, and I don't feel good about it. But on the other hand, if we're going in the other direction and completely demeaning the divine male and trying to turn the man into softies and wimps, really, that cannot be the way either. And in the end, we find that we don't even like what we've created there. Because when you're asking, most women do like a real man.
Yeah, definitely.
we just don't want to have the macho brute, but there has to be a balance between the macho brute and the effeminate softie,
Yeah.
And there is a proper way for the divine male to act and for the divine female. And within that we have a lot of range of freedom of expression. Not every woman wants to have children. Some want to have the role of the mother, which is a sacred role, and some of them want to be the priestess, and they may not marry, or they may not have children. And this is all okay. Not every man wants to marry or have children either. Some men also want to dedicate themselves to completely spiritual path maybe and have no relationship. This is all okay.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes sense. So essentially the men are traditionally the protectors because they're supposed to protect that magic, that spiritual power. I mean, we have heard of women's intuition. Of course, we're also told that that's an old wives' tale. But certainly, I think probably anyone who would be listening to the show knows that there's definitely a lot more to it. It's more than just a tale. So essentially, that would be why the male is in that protective role.
Yeah, and also the male has got more physical strength, right?
Yeah.
That's just proven. Of course, there could be individual women that have more strength than the one odd individual male. That's possible, but altogether, the male have more physical strength, and the women are the life givers, so they need to be especially protected because they are vulnerable. And I mean, this just makes sense. Nature has arranged things very well, but then we go and we think that we want it all the opposite, and it doesn't work out that way.
Yeah.
But the spiritual power is more with the females, and if you're looking at it, psychic powers are said to be aligned with the moon, which is a watery energy, and women actually do have more water in their body.
Yes,
and water seems to resonate with the spiritual power because water is a transmitter of energy and vibrations.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, all right. So, yeah, it's no wonder we're all kind of screwed up in this society where everything is backwards. I mean, of course, we can mention the witch trials where they were really trying to, which have been going on a very long time, okay, not just a little teeny tiny piece of history. It didn't just happen once, okay. So we go through that, and then they kind of suppress that magic out of us for fear of being burned at the stake again, and then we were replaced with the male as the spiritual teacher. That really makes sense, that why we've become such a dysfunctional society. Okay, did we lose her again? All right, here we go. All right, well, I'll just answer my own question. Yes, it makes sense to me. So we also wanted to talk about some of the pitfalls and stumbling blocks in a truly tantric relationship and what that really is. So hopefully we will get her back before this break and continue to discuss this, as well as preserving the sacredness and the love between two people who are striving for enlightenment and liberation together. So, if you have anything you would like to add, just give us a call, 218-339-8525. That's 218-339-8525. And this certainly isn't the first time we've heard this here, as far as the male being the protector of the woman's sacred divine magic. Of course, I know we're not supposed to talk about that here because it doesn't exist, right? We don't have all the experts that have proven in clinical trials that women do have, as Shakti mentioned, the extra water and the conductor and the energy, and yay, she's back.
Finally, and I found it interesting that we dropped just when you brought up the witch trials, because that was the campaign to completely wipe out magic and feminine power, feminine spiritual power, and it was very. And there's so many women that are very scared of magic now, and of psychic gifts, or even if they have dreams. And that, I think, has a lot to do with the situation that we are in now on the planet, where everything is very harsh and distorted because we lost the magic and the enchantment, and we lost the intuition of the divine feminine. So now we're having a very harsh environment. Neither the complete nor the extreme matriarchy work. We have to find a balance.
Absolutely. Totally agree with that. And yeah, this is really making sense. Shakti, I'm looking at the clock, and I cannot believe how quick this is going by tonight, but we wanted to talk about some of the stumbling stones and pitfalls in a truly tantric relationship. But before we get into that, what is Tantra for those who are not familiar with it?
Well, I heard it actually, the word means just the teachings, but it usually refers to the path of working with the sexual energies for enlightenment, and that can be done in a committed relationship to actually push the awakening of the Kundalini and make it faster and lift both partners higher. So a lot of people say they're doing Tantra, but sometimes it just means, sex with Indian music or multiple partners. And that, of course.
So true.
Sorry for saying it like that, but I think that's pretty much like, that's the way that people deluding themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so there's all these like tantric groups popping up, and they all basically go hang out in rooms together and masturbate together, or all make out with their partners together and whatever. That's not true Tantra.
No, oh my God, no way. I won't be joining any of those groups. You can be sure about that.
Yep, I haven't joined yet either myself, and definitely no intentions of. But it is that time. So, goodness, time is flying. We're going to be right back. Home stretch coming up after this short break. Shaman Avalon Sakti here on souljourneysradio.com.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
News and information you can trust. This is American Freedom Radio. Freedom, American Freedom Radio. American Freedom Radio.
Soul Journeys here on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. Protecting the Sacred Love with Shaman Avalon Sakti. Her website is sacredserpent.net. She does online tuition classes, or you can schedule private sessions with her. She also has some incredibly amazing artwork, jewelry, etc. in her magic shop, as well as homemade incense, bath salts, elixirs, etc. So definitely check it out, sacredserpent.net. And being this is the last segment, obviously we're not going to be able to go into all the rules or all the do's and don'ts of Tantra, sex magic, etc. Perhaps we can revisit this in a later date on another show. But for the essence of time, maybe we can spend this segment talking about how we can protect that sacred love, keep our spiritual relationships energetically clean, and, just preserve that sacredness. How do we do that in a world such as this?
first of all, you don't want to let any outside energies in. And that means, of course, you have to be faithful to each other. But not just sexually faithful, but also, you have to have trust in each other and stick together in hard times rather than being divided and letting other people divide you.
Yeah.
And both partners need to work on their own issues and be committed to continuing this without bashing the other if they're not yet perfect. Yeah. The two of them will eventually, if they do this right, they will develop their body of light together, and they can completely transcend this reality. But as they are going higher and higher in energy, there will be more and more negativity thrown at them from the dark side. So they also need to really learn to spiritually protect themselves, such as with banishing rituals, smudging. You always need to do a lot of cleansing on all levels. On the physical side, on the spiritual side, on the astral levels. And they need to take time for each other to deeply connect and communicate and speak with each other, of course. But the most important thing is don't let any outside energies into the relationship. And stay away from anything that lowers the vibration or pulls you down on a base chakra level.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, the man may be faithful, but looking at all these porn magazines, that would bring a really negative energy in. And it would have an effect, and it would be not honoring his relationship. These are just some examples. Or, if you're engaging in lowly gossip, or talking bad about your partner behind their back, then you're completely destroying this bond that you had.
Yeah. Okay.
So you just want to be in a state of basically purity on all levels. And you want to always honor and respect the other.
Okay, so essentially, basically everything we talked about on Tuesday on our show, Ethical Development for Spiritual Aspirants or Aspirants, you shared with us many rules, I'll call them, or steps during that process. So we basically want to adhere to that guideline within the relationship and really make that commitment to do it together no matter what.
Exactly. It's about honor and truthfulness and integrity and loyalty and all these things. And that's basically how we should all be living every day of our lives, whether we're in a relationship or not.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, is it possible, can soulmate or twin flame relationships ever part? Or does that, because, sometimes people say, oh my gosh, I love you so much, I want to be with you forever, but what does forever mean? Does it mean, till I die, or till you die, or just in this physical life, or are we forever attached for however many other lifetimes we happen to be in a physical form?
I think there is a way how, the two twin flames can be together for good. Flying through space and going to different dimensions.
That'd be fun. I always do that alone.
Haven't met your twin flame yet, Christie.
Well, I don't know. I don't really know what it means. I have thought that I had in the past twice, and I was probably wrong. So this is all new to me. I believe all relationships are there to teach us something. Maybe it's even to show us our own unworthiness, or how we feel about ourselves as unworthy. There, definitely lots to learn in these things. So I really don't know. I thought I knew what it felt like, but apparently not. Because, the love I experience now is way different. It's very comfortable, but not comfortable in the mainstream way. It's so complimentary. It's so different, but so complimentary. It works. It's the weirdest thing in the world. Nothing I ever expected. I'll say that. And it doesn't take work. It doesn't take, I mean, obviously sometimes it does because we're two totally different people, but it doesn't take hard work, I should say. It just flows. It just flows. So I don't know. Does that mean that's my twin flame? Does that mean I have no idea. I have no clue, but we will find out. Stay tuned.
I do think with your twin flame or soulmate, things should be flowing quite naturally, and even if there are a few kinks to be worked out, generally it doesn't need, as you said, hard work. If it needs hard work, that means two people are extremely different, and then I don't think they will be twin flames or soulmates. But they might still be able to have a relationship. Yeah, that's good. Sometimes the universe just provides you the partner that you need and that you match with, and it's good to recognize that and honor them for it.
Yeah, who knows? Hey, we're all in this journey together, and, you know, as you mentioned, you're just experiencing it yourself, and you said you would let us know in a year if the passion, you know, and I don't even want to say dies. I don't think it ever goes away. It's just
that's not going to die.
When you first meet, you want to act like Bugs Bunny, okay? You know, obviously it's not practical to be Bugs Bunny for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years, right? So I guess we can talk about that a year from now, and we can see how things progress with your relationship or your twin flame relationship. But I'm super excited for you. I think it is really, really cool. I just love you know, feeling that little skip in your voice and, you know, floating around and having fun and just, you know, really finally, you know, acquiring that match, that love match that you deserve and have certainly worked for. So, I don't know, I'm just tickled to hear about this for you. You certainly deserve it, and you've spent a long life in service to all of us, many of us, all throughout the globe. I mean, heck, you've been teaching in how many different countries? You know, Hong Kong, Germany, UK, New Zealand, Canada, U.S. now. Here you're on American Freedom Radio and all the people you're touching through there. So I don't know. I can't wait to hear how this pans out. So I think we're going to have to schedule it a show a year from today.
I don't think I'll be telling you everything.
Well, I don't think we want to know everything. So that might be an X-rated show. We're PG here. So, but yeah, I mean, I think people really want to know. Because some people feel, oh, well, the passion's fizzled, so it's time to move on to somebody who's going to, you know, create that lust in my loins again. But obviously, real love is more than that.
That's a misconception. It's a total misconception, because when you think of passion, you think of lust and loins. Yes. When I think of passion, I think of completely different things. I think of the passion of living together, of sharing wonderful things, how even, you know, the mundane things like digging in your garden becomes a complete communion with each other, or taking walks in the woods. You know, passion isn't just what happens in the bedroom. Passion is something that is a deep spiritual heart connection, and the sexuality is just one part of it and is not the most important part.
Amen. Thank you for saying that. I think people need to hear that, and I totally agree. So that's why I think it's going to be even more important to, you know, talk about this later. So we don't, you know, that's a fantasy. I'm sorry, guys. Hollywood, guess what? It's fake. And yeah, those whirlwind romances and everything that feels so good and whatever. Yeah, it's great, but there really is so much more to life. There is so much more to love. And yeah, hanging out in the garden, playing together, going for a walk, even doing dishes together is wonderful when you're with someone you love.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Souljourneys Radio.
You're listening to the future of talk. American Freedom Radio. This is American Freedom Radio.